Daily food life in ADX Florence Supermax, shocking menu revealed. The tray no one expected. The steel door slides open with a loud clang. A guard pushes a gray food tray through the slot of a cell inside ADX Florence Supermax, the most secure prison in America. The inmate inside, a man who hasn't touched another human in years, stares down at his meal. On the tray, a cold rectangle of Nutraloaf, a tasteless, brick-like lump of blended beans, vegetables, and bread. Beside it, a small cup of water. No seasoning, no heat, no choice. This isn't just food. It's punishment disguised as a meal. Other prisoners whisper that eating Nutraloaf feels like swallowing sand mixed with glue. Some gag. Some throw it against the wall. Others eat it slowly, knowing it's either that or nothing at all. This is what food looks like inside the most feared prison in the United States. But why do they serve meals like this? And what other shocking items hide on the daily menu of ADX Florence? What we're about to uncover will leave you wondering. Are these meals meant to keep men alive, or to break them down? Life on the tray. To understand the shocking menu, we need to step inside the daily rhythm of ADX Florence. Every morning at exactly 6 a.m., trays are slid through the slots of nearly 500 solitary cells. The inmates never walk to a cafeteria. There's no line, no chatter, no smell of cooking. Just silence, steel doors, and a small tray that lands in front of them like clockwork. Breakfast is often the same: powdered scrambled eggs, maybe a slice of bread, and a carton of milk. Simple. Lifeless. It's fuel, not comfort. Some days the eggs are watery. Other days they're rock hard. Inmates joke, though no one laughs, that the eggs are older than they are. The less extreme reality here is that food becomes the only break in a day of 23-hour lockdown. For some, it's the highlight. For others, it's torture. Prisoners peel apart slices of bread just to pass the time. But then comes lunch. And that's when the shocking reality of ADX food truly shows itself. The Nutraloaf punishment. When an inmate breaks a rule, maybe throws food, attacks staff, or refuses orders, he doesn't lose television or phone calls. He loses food. Not in the sense of starvation, but in the sense of choice. Instead of regular meals, he's put on a special punishment diet, Nutraloaf. Nutraloaf isn't a dish. It's a weapon. Imagine every leftover in the kitchen: beans, rice, bread, vegetables, sometimes even prunes, all mashed together into a dense, flavorless brick. Then baked until it's as hard as cement. That's Nutraloaf. Inmates say it dries your mouth instantly, that every bite feels like chewing on cardboard soaked in dirt. Some vomit after eating it. Others save it up, trying to trade it for anything edible. But inside ADX Florence, there's no one to trade with. Every man is alone. One prisoner once wrote that eating Nutraloaf for 3 days straight felt worse than solitary confinement itself. He begged to be put back on regular prison meals, even though those meals weren't much better. And here's the extreme event. Some men would rather go hungry, risking starvation, than touch another bite of Nutraloaf. Guards know it. And that's exactly why it's used. The normal menu isn't normal. For those not on punishment diet, the daily menu still raises questions. Lunch might include a peanut butter sandwich with 2 slices of bread so dry they crumble in your hands. Dinner could be soy patties pretending to be meat, boiled cabbage, or sometimes baloney slices with mystery cheese. It's cheap food, designed to cost the prison as little as possible. To make it worse, the trays are delivered lukewarm. By the time they reach the cell, the food is often cold, rubbery, and tasteless. Inmates compare their meals to animal feed, saying the only difference is the tray. But here's the low part of the cycle. Not every meal is horrifying. Sometimes, on rare occasions, prisoners get something surprising, like spaghetti or chicken. These good days spread rumors across the tiers. A man in one unit might shout, "They got chicken tonight." And for a brief moment, inmates feel human again. Still, the cycle doesn't stay calm for long. Because there's another dark twist in the ADX food system: tampering. The suspicion of tampered meals. Some inmates swear their food has been messed with. They claim meals taste off, or that trays arrive with less food than others. One man even said his tray smelled like cleaning chemicals. Is it paranoia born from isolation? Or is something darker happening? No one knows for sure. But the fear alone makes every meal a gamble. And here comes the next extreme turn. One afternoon, a notorious inmate screamed through his door that his food was poisoned. He hurled the tray back out the slot, splattering it across the hallway. Guards rushed in, the unit locked down. Food, something that should keep people alive, had now become the spark of chaos. Hunger Games behind bars. After the incident where an inmate accused the prison of poisoning his tray, ADX Florence returned to its cold rhythm. But one thing never changes: hunger. Many prisoners complain that the meals simply aren't enough. Breakfast comes early at 6 a.m., and dinner doesn't arrive until nearly 5 p.m. That means hours of silence with only hunger gnawing at the stomach. Some inmates try to stretch their meals. They eat half their bread in the morning and save the other half for later, hiding it under their thin mattress. But that bread grows hard, attracting insects, and guards sometimes search cells to confiscate hoarded food. The low part of this cycle is desperation. Men count down the hours until the next tray arrives. Some lick every corner of the carton, sucking every last drop of milk. Others scrape crumbs from the floor when a piece of bread falls. For them, dignity ends where hunger begins. But the high part, the extreme event, comes when men go to war with food itself. A prisoner once smashed his tray against the wall, smearing beans and rice everywhere. Guards stormed in, tackled him, and dragged him out. The entire unit went on lockdown over spilled food. At ADX Florence, even something as small as a peanut butter sandwich can start a riot. Trading on empty. Unlike other prisons, ADX inmates can't trade food face to face. There's no chow hall, no direct contact. But humans adapt. Inmates slide pieces of food under their cell doors with makeshift strings, creating a secret economy. A packet of jelly might buy you a favor. A slice of bread could get you a handwritten note smuggled across the tier. This is the low cycle, survival through creativity. Men starved of freedom turn jelly into gold. Some grind crackers and mix them with water to invent prison paste. Others mash beans into a spread, pretending it's something more. But the extreme event comes when guards catch these trades. If staff see food sliding under doors, punishment follows. Trays are yanked back, Nutraloaf is reissued, and the cycle of suffering starts again. At ADX Florence, even kindness, like sharing bread, becomes a crime. The psychological weapon of food. Food inside ADX isn't just calories, it's a weapon. Guards know it. Prisoners know it. And it's part of the control system. The low part is subtle. Inmates wait silently for their trays, hoping for a decent meal. Sometimes they get spaghetti. Sometimes soy patties. But always they eat alone. Always behind steel. But here's the extreme turn. When an inmate misbehaves, even in small ways, food becomes the first punishment. He may lose hot meals. He may be restricted to cold sandwiches. Or worse, days of Nutraloaf until he obeys. This isn't just about feeding men. It's about breaking them. A former warden once admitted that ADX meals were designed to be monotonous and bland, so prisoners would lose any sense of pleasure. When every meal tastes like cardboard, time itself feels endless. Food isn't comfort here, it's a clock that ticks painfully slow. When food fights back, the monotony pushes some men to their breaking point. One inmate, furious at his endless diet of soy and beans, snapped. When his tray arrived, he didn't eat. Instead, he hurled it back through the slot with all his strength, splattering sauce across the corridor. Guards rushed in, shields up. The hallway turned into a standoff. This was no longer about hunger. It was about control. The low cycle, hours later, silence returned. The food was cleaned, the inmate dragged away. His punishment? A week of Nutraloaf. The high cycle. Within days, other prisoners joined the rebellion. They began refusing trays, stacking them by the door uneaten. It wasn't a riot, it was a silent protest. Food, meant to control them, became their weapon back against the prison. But ADX Florence doesn't bend easily. Guards doubled down, reducing portions and locking down the unit. The protest fizzled, But the message was clear: even in the nation's tightest prison, food can spark rebellion. Commissary, the only escape. In a place as bleak as ADX, commissary is gold. Once a week, inmates can order items: ramen noodles, instant coffee, candy bars. These small luxuries become a lifeline. The low cycle. Commissary gives men something to look forward to. A Snickers bar might sit untouched for days, saved for the right moment. Instant coffee becomes a ritual, giving mornings meaning. But here's the extreme turn. Commissary can also create danger. A man who orders too much might become a target. Others, desperate for sugar or caffeine, threaten violence, even if contact is almost impossible. In one infamous case, an inmate hoarded commissary ramen. When guards discovered it, they seized everything. The man screamed, banging on his door for hours, his protest echoing down the unit. For him, losing ramen was like losing freedom itself. In ADX, sometimes a candy bar holds more power than a meal. The cold truth of dinner. Every day ends the same. Around 5 p.m., dinner trays arrive. They might carry soy meatloaf, baloney, or boiled vegetables. Always lukewarm. Always bland. The low cycle. Prisoners eat quickly, licking trays clean, then slide them back out. Another day survived. But then comes the high cycle. Sometimes, the food is worse than usual. One night, trays arrived with baloney so slimy inmates refused to eat it. Another time, soy patties came half-frozen, pink in the middle. Complaints mean nothing here. Guards shrug, inmates suffer. The shocking truth is that for many inside ADX Florence, the final meal of the day is a gamble. Eat it and risk sickness, or go to bed hungry. Either way, the night stretches long, and tomorrow, the cycle begins again. Religious meals and hidden battles. Food at ADX isn't just survival, it's identity. Some inmates request religious meals: halal, kosher, or vegetarian. On paper, the prison provides them. In reality, things get complicated. The calm part of the cycle. Trays arrive labeled for specific diets. Kosher meals might come prepackaged, sealed in plastic. For a moment, inmates feel like they're receiving something special, something different from the monotony. But the extreme turn comes when mistakes happen. A Muslim inmate once shouted through his door that pork had been slipped onto his tray. Another claimed his kosher meal was opened and tampered with before it reached him. In a place where trust is already gone, even a single piece of meat becomes a spark for rage. Guards argue it's accidents. Inmates swear it's disrespect. Either way, food, something sacred, turns into another battlefield inside the Supermax. Hunger strikes in the concrete tomb. When food becomes unbearable, some prisoners turn to the only weapon they have: refusing to eat. The low cycle. Hunger strikes start quietly. A man leaves his tray untouched. Then the next day again. By the third day, his body weakens, but his message grows louder: I will not eat. But the extreme cycle arrives when multiple men join. Hunger strikes ripple through solitary cells like whispers in the dark. Guards report it, medical staff check vitals, but the prison rarely bends. In one case, an inmate went nearly 2 weeks without eating. His body shrank. He could barely stand. Finally, he was strapped down and force-fed through a tube up his nose. The image was shocking. Food forced into a man who no longer wanted it. At ADX, even starvation is controlled. Even rebellion ends with a tray. The myth of fresh food. Ask inmates what they miss most, and many will say, fresh food. Apples, oranges, salads, anything that isn't processed, boiled, or powdered. The calm cycle. Sometimes, commissary offers a taste of freshness, maybe a packaged pickle or a bag of chips. For a moment, it feels like the outside world has cracked the concrete walls. But the extreme reality: most prisoners go years, even decades, without tasting fresh fruit. Some swear the only vegetables they see are boiled until gray. Others say the lettuce on sandwiches arrives already wilted. One inmate once wrote that he dreamed about biting into an apple so vividly, he woke up with his jaw aching. Food isn't just survival here, it's a memory, slowly fading away. Food is a clock. In ADX, prisoners don't have schedules filled with activities. No yard for hours, no jobs, no classes. The only thing that divides the day is the tray sliding through the door. The calm part of the cycle. Inmates know exactly when food will arrive. Breakfast at 6, lunch at 11, dinner at 5. Time becomes measured not in hours, but in meals. But here's the extreme twist. When a tray is late, chaos brews. Men start yelling through their doors. Fists pound steel. Panic spreads. A delay of 30 minutes feels like betrayal. 4 men already stripped of everything, even food arriving late is an explosion waiting to happen. The prison knows this. And in some cases, delays aren't accidents, they're warnings. Punishment in silence. The day of rotten food. There's one story whispered among inmates like legend. A night when trays arrived smelling foul. Baloney slices with green edges. Milk cartons sour before they were opened. The calm cycle. Some men tried to eat anyway, too hungry to resist. Others refused, sliding their trays back untouched. The extreme cycle hit within hours. Several prisoners began vomiting. One collapsed. Guards stormed the tier, medical staff rushed in. The unit went on full lockdown. No one knows if it was negligence, accident, or something darker. But the story remains. One night, food itself turned into poison inside the most secure prison in America. Commissary wars. Commissary may be survival, but it's also danger. The calm cycle. Men save ramen noodles like treasure. They crush chips into crumbs to sprinkle over bland prison meals, inventing their own seasoning. But the extreme cycle comes when jealousy sparks violence. Inmates scream through doors when they see others receive larger bags. Accusations fly. He's getting more than me. Guards intervene, confiscating items, and the whole tier pays the price. In ADX Florence, even a bag of Doritos can start a war. Food memories as torture. Perhaps the cruelest weapon of all isn't what's served, it's what's missing. The calm cycle. Inmates sit in silence after meals, staring at walls. In that silence, memories surface. Backyard barbecues, fast food runs, birthday cakes. The smell of steaks sizzling, the crunch of fried chicken. But the extreme event? Some prisoners break down, sobbing over memories of food. Others pound their heads against walls, screaming out the names of dishes they'll never taste again. Food becomes more than hunger, it becomes grief. One inmate confessed in a letter, "I haven't eaten pizza in 15 years. Every night I dream of it. That's my punishment." The illusion of choice. ADX sometimes offers menus with checkboxes, meat or vegetarian, milk or juice. For a moment, prisoners feel human again. They circle their choice and wait. The calm cycle. It feels like freedom. Like they finally get to decide something, anything, in a world where every choice is stripped away. But the extreme cycle hits when trays arrive, and they're wrong. Wrong drink. Wrong meal. Or the same as yesterday, no matter what was chosen. It's not an accident. It's a reminder. In ADX Florence, even choice is an illusion. Holiday meals that aren't holidays. In most prisons, holidays bring rare treats. Turkey on Thanksgiving, pie on Christmas. At ADX Florence, inmates whisper about these days months in advance. The calm cycle. Trays sometimes carry a piece of turkey roll, instant mashed potatoes, maybe even a slice of cake wrapped in plastic. For men trapped in concrete boxes, it feels like a miracle. But here's the extreme turn. Expectations crush reality. The turkey is dry, the cake stale, the potatoes taste like chalk. Men who dreamed of a feast sink into despair. Some even rage, shouting, "This isn't a holiday meal, it's garbage." For the outside world, food means family and celebration. Inside ADX, even holidays remind prisoners what they'll never have again. When guards hold the trays. The power of food at ADX doesn't end with the menu, it lives in the hands of the guards. The calm cycle. Most officers follow procedure. Trays are delivered, slots closed, silence continues. But the extreme cycle appears when guards use food as leverage. A tray might accidentally arrive last, forcing a man to wait. Or a portion might be smaller than usual. Inmates believe these are not mistakes, but reminders of control. One prisoner swore that a guard told him, "You eat when I say you eat." That single sentence echoed louder than the steel doors. Food, the most basic human need, becomes a weapon in the hands of those with keys. The whisper of smuggled food. In a prison built to stop everything, even whispers, rumors still spread. Food smuggling. The calm cycle. Some inmates claim to have seen small packages, gum, candy, or even chips, slipped through by sympathetic staff or sneaked in during transfers. It's rare, almost mythical. But the extreme twist is the punishment when smuggling is discovered. Guards strip search cells, rip apart mattresses, and toss commissary to the floor. An entire unit can lose privileges because one man tasted something forbidden. At ADX Florence, even the dream of outside food carries a price. The medical diet trap. Some inmates suffer from medical conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, stomach problems. Doctors prescribe special diets. The calm cycle. These diets should mean better food, low sugar, balanced meals, lighter portions. But the extreme cycle is this. Medical diets are often just smaller servings of the same tasteless food. A diabetic inmate once complained he was given the same desserts as everyone else. Another said his low-sodium meal was nothing but rice and beans, day after day. Instead of relief, medical diets often feel like punishment stacked on top of punishment. The price of food. ADX meals are cheap. Very cheap. Reports show that the prison spends just a few dollars per inmate per day on food. The calm cycle. To outsiders, that might seem efficient. Feed hundreds of men at low cost, keep the budget tight. But the extreme truth is this. Those low numbers explain the quality. Soy replaces meat. Powder replaces milk. Vegetables are frozen, processed, boiled until they taste like nothing. Some experts argue that cheap food in such a harsh environment is by design. It's not just about saving money, it's about stripping away comfort. Every bite reminds inmates, you're not free. Food and madness. In ADX Florence, many inmates already battle mental illness. Isolation makes it worse. And food, instead of helping, often drives them further into madness. The calm cycle. Men pace their cells, waiting for the sound of the tray slot. It's the one event of the day that breaks the silence. But the extreme cycle is what happens after. Some prisoners refuse to eat at all, certain their food is poisoned. Others smear meals across the walls, painting with beans and ketchup in spirals of rage. One inmate spent weeks using his bread to sculpt shapes on the floor, eating none of it. Food doesn't just fail to heal here, it becomes part of the sickness. The final bite of reality. At the end of the day, ADX Florence meals are not about taste, not about nutrition, not even about survival. They're about control. The calm cycle. Trays slide in, trays slide out, day after day, year after year. The extreme cycle. The shocking menu isn't what's written on paper. It's the reality of how it's served. Cold, blend, measured, weaponized. Food here doesn't feed men, it breaks them. For some, every bite is a reminder of the outside world. For others, it's a punishment worse than the steel and the concrete. And tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., it all begins again. The illusion of survival. For the men inside ADX Florence, food is never just food. It's a reminder of who holds power. The calm cycle. A tray slides in at dawn. Scrambled eggs from powder, bread dry as dust, and a carton of milk. Enough to keep the body alive. But the extreme truth is this. Alive is not the same as living. Day after day, year after year, survival at ADX means chewing on food that feels more like punishment than nourishment. The menu is shocking not because it's exotic, but because it's deliberately stripped of comfort, joy, and dignity. Voices from the cells. Letters that have leaked from ADX tell the story in voices the world rarely hears. One man wrote, "Food is the only thing I have left, and even that is used against me." Another said, "I dream of pizza, but I wake up to soy patties and cold bread." A third described Nutraloaf as eating a wall. The calm part. Outside, people debate prison reform. Inside, men count crumbs. The extreme part. These testimonies remind us that food, the simplest human need, has become a weapon more powerful than handcuffs or bars. The hidden cost of control. Feeding 400 to 500 of America's most dangerous inmates isn't expensive, it's calculated. Budgets show just a few dollars per day, per man. On paper, it looks efficient. The calm cycle. Politicians point to numbers, claiming justice is being served. The prison runs smoothly, inmates are fed. But the extreme truth is the hidden cost. Men reduced to hollow shells, stripped of humanity not just by walls and bars, but by every bite of food they're forced to swallow. The price isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in broken spirits. Food as the last frontier. Inside ADX Florence, prisoners lose everything: freedom, touch, movement, sound. Food is the last frontier. The one thing they can still feel, taste, smell. The calm cycle. Each day, meals arrive at the same time, in the same way, as if nothing will ever change. The extreme twist, that's the point. Food becomes routine, so suffocating, so tasteless, that it erases time. A man serving 20 years can barely tell one day from another. Every bite blends into the next, until life itself tastes like nothing. Tomorrow's tray. And so the cycle continues. At dawn, the doors will open again. Trays will slide through the slots. Some men will eat. Some will refuse. Some will dream of flavors they'll never taste again. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals a day, thousands of meals a year. The system runs without fail. The extreme ending, but behind every tray lies a story. Of punishment, of rebellion, of hunger, of madness. The shocking menu of ADX Florence isn't just about what's on the tray. It's about what it takes away. Dignity, humanity. And the question remains, when food itself becomes a weapon, what does survival truly mean inside the most secure prison in America? From powdered eggs to Nutraloaf bricks, the daily food life in ADX Florence is more than a menu. It's a mirror of the prison itself. Cold, controlled, unforgiving. Behind every steel door, a man waits for his tray, knowing it will keep him alive, but never let him live. This is the hidden story of America's Supermax. A place where meals are not served, they're delivered like verdicts. And tomorrow, the cycle begins again.